What's going on, my peoples? You are listening to Blackout Radio with the Dunn Boyz on 93.9 WLXU. And I'm going to build on what my peoples just talked about the churches. I love the churches. I love what they doing. I love what they doing. However, a lot of what they're doing isn't outside the community. Back in the day, when a church was built, that would be the first thing in a community was the church. The community would be built around the church. So as the church grew, the community would grow, and you would have an organization and an organizing front for the community. Everybody's organized. There's leadership. So what we have now are within the churches. Our churches are being bought in communities that aren't representative or represented by the church body. So the churches are doing work. However, the work that the churches are doing benefits their members. And if their members happen to be in the inner city area, a lot of what they're doing is to uplift their members. And I don't have a problem with that. But when you say that you are a man of God and you are spiritually conscious, you have to know the struggle of your people. And not just your people in your congregation, but your people who all fall under the clouds and on this earth together as your people. And you have the job and the duty of bringing spirituality and promoting spirituality to those outside of those four walls in your church. So a lot of the community outreach isn't being done anymore. And a lot of churches do community outreach, because I see them walking up and down the street. I see them riding bikes. I see school buses picking up children. I see the events that I get emails from. Now, I do get emails. However, the groundwork that needs to be laid, going door to door, I don't see a lot of that anymore. So one thing that I would like to challenge our churches to do more of is to going door to door, really out there finding souls, not just helping save the souls that walk into the doors of the church, but saving the souls that need to be saved in the community. You have to have that drive and determination to uplift your people, not just uplift your church, because I do look at the churches. You know, my father-in-law, he had a church. And from the time I started dating his daughter, which is now my wife, one thing that I saw was all the members in his church grow. Not just grow within the faith, spiritually, but also economically. You know, they had a real leader that showed them how to get businesses, showed them how to invest their money, to where when you start looking at them, they were all buying homes, buying houses, doing a whole lot of things to uplift one another, which was great. And I do see a lot of that. But on the other hand, he had a lot of programs where he was helping people in jail. He had programs where he was feeding individuals. And the best program, like I said, Dina used to get so fired up. She'd be like, dang, Brennan. But now I understand. She said, you just like my daddy. He would get people out of prison and bring them into his home. Strangers into his home. So that's what type of preachers we need. We need more strong men that's willing to stand up for the criminals. You know, doing it for the low lifes. Not just trying to have a little country club with the goody goodies who feel like they're going to heaven and judging everybody. But we really need somebody standing up for the low lives.
That's what's up. I'm going to speak briefly on religion. I'm going to read a quote, and then after that, I'm going to switch to other nonprofits just to kick a little something that most people aren't familiar with or unaware of. But a religion basically is a strong belief. So any religion that professes to be concerned about the souls of men and not concerned about the city government that damns the soul, the economic conditions that corrupt the soul, the slum conditions, the social evils that cripple the soul is a dry, dead, do-nothing religion in need of new blood. Like that quote, don't you?
Yeah, I know who it came from too.
Would you please let them know who it came from?
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, the reason I want to read that quote is because I think it links everything together. So Brandon was speaking about religion and whatnot, Christianity specifically. And then you will notice that the nonprofit organizations always want to focus on Dr. King being a peaceful man, but they don't focus on these parts of his speeches. And it's quite interesting because like you have this group that's talking about Safe Summer 16, right? They are stereotyping black people in a horrible way. And it honestly pisses me off. I mean, let's just look at the facts. Because they want to say Safe Summer 16. They want to focus on saving the black community from gun violence, thinking that they can actually do something, which they cannot. And I'll be the first to say that. But let's look at the real numbers. In Lexington, Kentucky, we average about 20 murders a year. Half of those are black. 134 rapes last year.
Are you serious?
The majority, yes, those are reported. We have a population of 300,000. So 134 is not that much, but it's way too many. So how come these nonprofit organizations who want to start talking about a safe summer are focusing on the 10 murders in the black community or the 11, 12, 13 murders in the black community, but not focus on the 134 rapes last year? How come they're not focusing on the 300 assaults last year? You see what I'm saying? They don't want to focus on what's real. So I looked up child abuse because I know that you told me that Kentucky is the child abuse capital of America. We have a very high child abuse rate. So I got on I looked up for statistics for child abuse and you really can't find them. I get on the Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky website and the very first thing is I see a beautiful black boy smiling. Little handsome little devil, you feel me? Just smiling, ding! Got a nice little grin on him and they put him as the face of child abuse. But then you go a little bit deeper and you start looking at the survey and the demographics. There were 8 counts of, and this is for child fatality and near fatality, right? And there were 8 incidences involving black people of child mortality or near fatality. 64 white. 5 others. So out of 77 cases of child fatality or near fatality, 64 of them were white. Why do they have a little black boy's picture when the majority of the victims of child abuse, child fatality, or near fatality incidents in this state are white? Let's keep going, man. Now, we are painting the black man as a savage beast who runs around shooting and killing each other, right?
Right.
So we start talking about these child mortality cases. What age are these children who are dealing with the fatality and near fatality? We talked about it was 77, correct? 40 of them were under the age of 1. 25 were between 1 and 4. The age group 5 to 9, it was 4. 10 to 14, it was 5. And 15 to 17, it was 3. So if you say between the ages of 1 and 4, that is 65 children. And predominantly, most of them are being assaulted by their white parents. You see what I'm saying? So y'all painting a picture of black people in Lexington, Kentucky being violent. You want to have a safe summer 16? There were 20 murders last year. There were 77 near-death cases, either fatal or near-fatal cases for children. Why are we not focusing on saving them? If you look at drugs, drug overdose deaths up 30% in Lexington over last year. This was written July 15th, a year ago, 2015. Drugs were up 30%. Now, these are numbers nobody wants to focus on. Let's talk about suicide. The suicide rate amongst white people in America is much higher than that of blacks, but they don't want to discuss suicide. So let's say, black people are violent. We kill each other, right? How crazy you got to be to kill yourself? How violent do you have to be to kill yourself? Now, hey, let's talk about it. Suicide in Kentucky. Kentucky has a higher rate of suicide than other states. The nation average is 12.5 per 100,000. In Kentucky, it's 15.5. Now, you flip over to Lexington, and Lexington has a growing rate. The leading cause of death of children between the ages of 15 and 24 in the black community is gun violence. However, the same demographic of children within the white community is them killing themselves. But y'all want to talk about Safe Summer 16? There are 16,000 murders in America every year, way more suicides. 43,000, almost twice as many suicides as murders. So why do you want to point the finger at the black community? We got these white liberals who don't know because they buy into the hype. So they're coming to save us, but they can't save themselves, and they're not even attempting to because the media does not tell the truth.
A very aggressive media campaign that hinges on what Americans fear the most. Now, when we talk about child abuse, I know these numbers well because I was a CASA. I went through the over 40 hours of training. In those training classes, I learned that child abuse is disproportionate per blacks, and that blacks are targeted for child abuse. Targeted. So there was a study done, and the individuals that did the study, they did this study 3 times to find out who were more violent, white parents or black parents. The study came back that white parents were more aggressive and brutal when it comes to child abuse.
Hold on, Brandon. No, black parents spank their children, so they gotta be more violent.
Nope. The study came back that they weren't. And they didn't believe it because they were looking at these low income, poverty stricken parents. So they did a study again. It came back that white parents were in fact more abusive to their children. They didn't believe that test, so they did it a 3rd time and came back with the same findings that whites were more aggressive towards their children. So also in the training and the courses, we learned that Fayette County Public Schools is one of the highest organizations that calls Child Protective Services and are responsible for removing blacks from their homes and put them into the foster care system. Now, Child Protective Services, once they go in, all they need is a recommendation. Once Child Protective Services go into the homes and what they find is nothing, then they're gonna turn their attention to the parents. They're gonna look and see if the males in the home have charges, if they've been in prison, if they're smoking weed, if they've been drinking before 5 o'clock. And they use all these things to take black children away from their homes. And once you remove a black child from their home, the numbers of them returning back to their families are way lower than children. And a white father beats his children, molests his children, they will send that child back to that father. Whereas if a black parent just might not have adequate clothing, they would put that child in foster care indefinite. So, that's the bell. We have to take another break. We'll be right back with you with Blackout Radio.